Every time Apple updates the MacBook Pro, they release a configuration that ships with a bin chip that has less CPU cores and less GPU cores. Naturally, this is the lowest cost model that Apple makes for their Pro level chips. And every year, this model is undercovered because Apple usually sends reviewers the top end, highest spec machines with the best performance possible. However, those reviews, they don't really interest me all that much because most people aren't buying those higher end spec machines, and most people want to know how much value you can get out of the lowest spec possible. That's why I took it upon myself. Aren't I so gracious and generous? Yes, I took it upon myself to check out the base model M5 Pro MacBook Pro with the bin chip. And I don't want to spoil this review, but you can probably tell I can't contain my excitement for how well this machine performs. So much so, in fact, that it really does make me a little jealous for anyone that picks up this machine. Okay, so what is the base level M5 Pro MacBook Pro? Because Apple kind of made this process a little more confusing than it used to be, because this actually used to be listed as its own separate product, but it is now combined with the same page as the regular M5 MacBook Pro, which, yes, technically is the true base model, but I think there's enough differences with these machines that they should still be on a separate order page. Either way, when you're configuring your MacBook Pro and you select the M5 Pro chip, that is the model I'm talking about. It retails for $2,200 with 1 terabyte of storage, 24 gigabytes of memory, and yes, that 15-core CPU and 16-core GPU. This is the bin chip that has some of its cores disabled. That is the model we're using. Now you might be asking, is there any other major differences with this Mac compared to the other and higher specs? And no, this Mac has exactly the same body. It has the same 14.2-inch mini LED display with 120 Hz ProMotion that I still think does a really good job giving you a good image with good colors and great contrast. And it has equally good brightness with 1000 nits of full screen brightness and 1600 nits of peak brightness when viewing HDR content. The ports are also exactly the same, and yes, that includes the super fast Thunderbolt 5 ports, which is one of my favorite things about these Macs. And if you're picking up one of these new M5 Pro or M5 Max MacBook Pros, you need to take advantage of just how fast these Thunderbolt 5 ports are, because with a single cable, you can connect to Anker Prime's Thunderbolt 5 docking station, which is a 14-in-1 dock. That gives you a total of 3 Thunderbolt 5 ports, 1 Thunderbolt 5 upstream and 2 Thunderbolt downstream ports with transfer speeds up to 120 gigabits per second, which is fast enough to support 8K displays or 2 4K monitors at 120 Hz. That's all while supplying a 2.5 gig Ethernet port, an HDMI port, a display port, 3 10 gigabit per second USB-A ports, 2 10 gigabit per second USB-C ports, a headphone jack, and a full SD card and micro SD card slot. It even has an active cooling system, which keeps the dock running at peak performance under extended heavy load without thermal throttling. What that means for me is it's powerful enough to drive both of my 5K Thunderbolt studio displays while getting stable wired Ethernet using my SD card to upload videos and my micro SD card to upload audio clips, while fast charging my 16-inch MacBook Pro at 140 watts, all from a single Thunderbolt cable connection for an ultra clean setup. And the power supply is built into it, so there's no external power brick. Again, it is perfect for a minimalist Apple setup like this. So to get your own Anker Prime Thunderbolt 5 docking station, check out the link in the description below, and thank you to Anker for sponsoring this video. Okay, let's see how this binned M5 Pro chip performs. Well, for CPU performance, the single core is going to be like every other M5 chip. It is exactly the same. You don't need to worry about that. The difference comes in multi-core CPU performance, where the M5 Pro scores 25,692 on Geekbench. For reference, the base model is basically performing at the same level as a full binned M4 Max chip from last year. That's pretty great. But how does that compare to the full 18-core M5 Pro and M5 Max chip? Well, you can get this for $200 more, right? But you're only gonna see about a 13% increase in multi-core CPU performance. I think that's a good bump, but not mind-blowingly better. Based on the benchmarks, both of these CPUs should be very capable, and honestly, they're in a very similar performance threshold. I actually find it amazing that the binned M5 Pro chip is performing within striking distance of the M3 Ultra multi-core CPU performance that is on a $4,500 configuration of the desktop Mac Studio. All of that performance running on battery, mind you. It's not even plugged in a very small package. That is something to like. That is outstanding. So that is very good news. But what about the 16-core GPU versus the 20-core? Well, running the Metal benchmark on Geekbench, we get a score of 122,658 on our 16-core model. In fact, the M5 Pro GPU is the area where I was the most shocked with its performance because I decided to load up Cyberpunk to test how well this GPU handles gaming, and I was able to run this game on ultra settings at pretty much 60 frames per second. I even decided to see how far we can push this base level machine, and I did the same benchmark again, this time on the Ray Tracing Ultra preset, and this time it scored an average of 38 frames per second. Now, yes, gaming on the Mac, as you know, is traditionally not one of its strong suits, especially on the lower end Mac chips. Yes, if you get the M5 Max chip, you're going to get even better GPU performance than this, and honestly, that one is pretty crazy. But even on the base level chip, I find it so encouraging that if a game is properly built and optimized for the Mac now, like Cyberpunk or the Resident Evil 4 remake, you can get some really great results on this machine. Like, these games look really good, they run really well on a base model M5 Pro. And again, I have to point out, all running on battery, not plugged into the wall outlet. And that, for me, is a realization that at least hardware-wise, Apple, they have become competitive in the gaming landscape. They really just need to get more optimized titles for their M-series chips. Okay, before we're done with these benchmarks, there's two other things I want to mention. First of all, the SSD speed has been increased pretty significantly now. It's about twice as fast as before. This is with the 1 terabyte model. Now, I haven't seen a disk speed test with other high tier storage models yet for the M5 Pro, but I have seen an M5 Max 8 terabyte that does appear to have even faster read and write speed. So I believe if you got the 4 terabyte version of the M5 Pro, you would also get even faster speeds than this. But basically, the base level M5 Pro machine is pretty powerful when you compare it against past and now current M5 Pro and M5 Max versions. Now, in real world use, this thing feels snappy, like it is fast, probably the fastest Mac I've ever used in like opening an app. I think that maybe even has more to do with the disk speed rather than just like the single core performance. And then for my workloads of video editing and photo editing, I mean, this thing handles it all with the base level specs. But that's not really a surprise to me because I feel like the M3 Pro and the M4 Pro were also kind of in that area. But this thing is just even faster, more capable, renders things faster, right? Like, this is a great base level machine. I also think Apple getting rid of the 512 gigabyte configuration and starting with 1 terabyte of storage was, yes, kind of a way to raise prices, but I also think it makes the base level spec finally feel perfect because now I don't have to have this awkward conversation with you where I tell you, yes, the performance is great, but hey, if you need to store more things on your computer, or hey, if you need more memory, there's these bottlenecks. And yes, I get it. There's always going to be people that need more storage and need more memory, but for the vast majority of people purchasing one of these machines, there's kind of no gotcha on the base model anymore. And that's nice. Like, I can tell people confidently, yeah, you go buy the base model, you get 1 terabyte of storage, 24 gigabytes of memory. The performance with this CPU and GPU, that's probably gonna be the correct model for most of the people watching this video. In fact, for me, it's an inflection point because I think back to the first time I needed to buy a Mac for pro level tasks, and the options in this price range weren't the best. And I feel like throughout most of my history covering Apple, People have had so many nitpicks about these base level machines missing some critical things, and this one, it just doesn't have that problem. It is very well-rounded, and it is what it needs to be at this price point. Like, I am actually jealous of the people that are buying a Mac today that have amazing options like this. Now, I did save one comparison for last because it's gonna kind of spoil a bit of my next video, but hey, I know you guys, you're great, you're very supportive. You're gonna watch this video and that video, right? Listen, I think it'll be worth it because I wanted to see the real world difference between the regular M5 chip and this M5 Pro chip. So one of the ways I can see that is with a video edit and exporting video, right? So I did a 10-minute 4K clip, exported it just to see like the baseline speeds in these machines. And the M5 Pro exported that clip in 4 minutes and 7 seconds. But the kicker here is I did that same export on my M5 MacBook Air, not even the M5 MacBook Pro. And that finished in 4 minutes and 17 seconds. A 10-second difference in speed to export a video. Granted, that is one task, but that also made me realize that maybe even this M5 Pro machine, something in the past that I would probably start recommending as the entry point to a true pro level workflow, may now even be overkill for most users. Take that with a grain of salt. I'm gonna do a little more testing, but basically, if this M5 Pro MacBook Pro looks good, like you want the performance out of it, but it's still too expensive for you, well, subscribe to the channel to see how well the M5 Air actually performs, because I think that might save you a lot of money. But for everyone else that walked away as impressed and as pleased as I am with this machine, I think this is probably the best time to buy a new MacBook Pro because I'm not sure what the future holds for this machine. I know there's a rumored OLED redesign on the way, maybe as soon as the end of this year, but from all accounts, it sounds like that is going to be a more expensive model than this one, and I'm just not sure if it's going to deliver the exact value that this one provides when it comes to performance. So yes, I highly recommend the base M5 Pro MacBook Pro. It is honestly a great time to buy a Mac, to be a Mac user, and this laptop is probably the best value for your dollar out there out of all the other M5 Pro or M5 Max variants. So if you want to buy it, I'll leave an affiliate link in the description. But as always, I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, leave me a like, subscribe for more, and I will catch you real soon with what I think will be maybe an even more interesting video than this one. I'm excited.